Just because React server components and server-side rendering have the word server in them, it doesn't make them similar to one another. They are very different from each other, and let's explore why. SSR is all about the initial page load. With server-side rendering, we first render and send the raw HTML from the server to the client, then all the client-side JavaScript gets downloaded. React starts the hydration process to transform the HTML to an interactive React component. This means that after the initial page load, your app is essentially the same old React app that you'd have if you weren't using SSR. In SSR, all of your components are still client components outside of the fact that your first page load was pure HTML. Let's take an example, where we have a website consisting of a to-dos page which displays list of to-dos along with an add to-do button, and a to-dos completed page which displays the list of to-dos completed. Now when the user requests the website in their browser, the server will first fetch the to-dos list from the backend. Then the server will render the to-dos page and send the HTML file to the browser. Along with this, the server will also send the JavaScript code for the entire application. So because of SSR, the browser will be able to immediately show the to-dos page. This reduces the time taken for FCP and consequently vastly improves the user experience. However, the page will not become interactive immediately, and the browser needs to wait till it completes downloading the JavaScript bundle to add interactivity. Once it completes downloading, then the HTML page can be hydrated using the JavaScript code. So the user will have to wait for a while before they can start interacting with the app. For instance, if the user wants to add a to-do by clicking on the Add To-Do button, they will have to wait till the browser hydrates the HTML file. This is going to result in a poor time to interactive score. Additionally, once the browser loads the initial page, then this app is going to behave like a single page application. So if the user navigates to the to-dos completed page, then the browser is going to render this page and send a request to fetch the list of to-dos. So the only real advantage of SSR comes at the initial page load stage with the first contentful paint score, while time to interactive is going to be almost the same. And this is where React server components come in, as they resolve these issues by incrementally streaming the content of the app from the server to the browser. When the user loads the website, the browser is going to send a request to the server. Just like what happens with SSR, the server is going to fetch the data from the backend. But we don't need to wait till we get the data from the backend. There are parts of the app like the header and the side panel that we can render without the data. So the server renders these components and streams them to the browser. Now since the server does not wait for the data, the first contentful paint is going to be a lot faster in React server components as compared to server-side rendering. And once the server fetches the data from the backend, it can render the list and stream it to the browser. Besides, unlike in SSR, in React server components, server-side rendering does not take place during the initial page load only. In React, there are two types of components: server components and client components. Server components, as the name implies, are rendered in the server, and the browser renders the client components. We can define any component that doesn't involve user interactivity like a mouse click or keyboard input, and use React hooks like the useState and useEffect hook as a server component. The server can render these components and stream them to the browser. So the server needs to send the JavaScript code to render only the client components. Therefore, the JavaScript bundle size is going to be a lot smaller and faster to download. This means that the user interface can become interactive faster, reducing time to interactive. Going back to our example, on the to-dos page, only the Add To-Do button needs to be a client component. The server can render the rest. The code for the button is going to be expectedly small and faster to download. So this button becomes clickable a lot earlier. So in conclusion, SSR and React server components are two different concepts. React server components continuously renders components in the server as the user navigates around the app, whereas SSR performs server-side rendering only during the initial page load. This means other than the initial components, all the other components are rendered in the browser when SSR is used. So the browser has to download the JavaScript for the whole app just like in a single page application. In React server components, since the server renders most of the components and streams to the browser, the JavaScript that the browser needs is very small. This makes the UI load and become interactive faster. Furthermore, React server components can have the server fetch almost all of the data. This allows React server components to score better on first contentful paint and time to interactive as compared to SSR and provide a better user experience. So that's all for the video. If you found it insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe.